Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for checking the video out today. We have more PlayStation news, rumors, and leaks to go over and cover today. So before we get into these topics, as always, if you do end up enjoying the video or finding it informative, make sure you leave it a like. And if you are new here to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button as well. First, we're talking about another PlayStation acquisition that has officially been completed. This time, it's for the biggest acquisition that Sony made, that being them acquiring Bungie. So this is reading from Push Square, where it says the ink has dried and the deal has closed. Sony officially owns legendary developer Bungie. The acquisition, worth a reported $3.6 billion, will see the Halo creator retain its independence and accelerate its vision to create generation-spanning entertainment. A statement said, "Today, Bungie begins our journey to become a global multimedia entertainment company." As part of the purchase, Bungie will help Sony to establish a live service center of excellence, which will improve upon the platform holder's knowledge base as it looks to release at least 10 live service games. The developer, meanwhile, will continue to nurture the popular Destiny 2 while taking bold steps into unexplored spaces for Bungie. It's worth reiterating the company will continue to create multi-platform games despite its integration adjacent to PlayStation Studios within the Sony Interactive Entertainment umbrella. That's a point that the studio was eager to hammer home now that the acquisition is complete. Our games will continue to be where our community is, wherever they choose to play. In addition to working closely with various other first-party teams like Naughty Dog and Sony Santa Monica, Bungie's first steps within Sony will be to recruit aggressively as it looks to expand upon its already sizable team. It mentions all new worlds beyond Destiny 2, so it clearly has multiple new projects in the pipeline. It's been a busy month for Sony's corporate lawyers, with the company also closing its deal to buy Haven Studio earlier this week. This massively expands the size and scale of Sony Interactive Entertainment, with the firm indicating that it's not finished on the acquisition front. So the Bungie acquisition is officially complete. It seems like they are ahead of schedule here. The last we heard, Sony expected this deal to close at the latest by the end of September. So obviously this is well before that, which I think is a good sign. I'm sure that Sony as well as Bungie are happy about this. They can immediately begin their work together. And as this article points out once again, Bungie is going to play a massive role in Sony's future live service titles. We know that Bungie has had to go through the ups and downs of creating a live service, knowing what not to do, learning the hard way, and just kind of having to gain that experience. This is why this is such a significant purchase when you consider how many different live service titles Sony has in development. Again, it's always worth reiterating that these live service titles are not coming at the expense of Sony's single-player games. This is just another area of growth for PlayStation and something where they see, a lot of potential in. So there you go. Bungie is officially part of PlayStation. Moving on to the next topic, I have to tell you guys, this one was pretty funny. I did not expect to be talking about this, but yesterday, the God of War Ragnarok pre-orders went live, and the official PlayStation Twitter account put out a tweet that they had to end up deleting, and it's really interesting when you find out why they had to end up deleting this tweet. So the tweet was for I believe it was about a 15-second trailer for God of War Ragnarok, kind of hyping up the fact that pre-orders are now available. They said, "Prepare for Fimbulwinter, God of War Ragnarok launches November 9th. But for those who watched this 15-second clip, you would have noticed that at the end of this clip, it showed the box art for the PS5 and PS4 version of God of War side by side, and it says pre-order now, except the date that they had was for November 11th, 2022, 11/11. In other words, Starfield's original release date before it got delayed into 2023. Now, I don't think this is a big deal, but it's still pretty funny and interesting, and it was clearly something that we weren't supposed to know about. I can't help but wonder if whoever was, putting this out, whoever's running the official PlayStation Twitter account, if they maybe did this on purpose to let everybody know that, hey guys, it was originally going to be taking that spot. And that was something that a lot of people were speculating, when we heard the reports that God of War was planning to launch in November, and we know that Starfield got delayed. A lot of people were saying it would have been really funny and pretty comical if Sony decided to kind of take that date, for themselves where Starfield was supposed to be. But yeah, obviously this tweet was deleted. It was updated. It's also worth noting that this did confuse some people, understandably. Some people were wondering, like, did the game, did the release date get moved by 2 days? But no, it didn't. The release date is still on track for November 9th. But still, this was not out for a long time. This was a very brief tweet before it was deleted. And so, yeah, I wanted to just share that with you. Let me know what you think about that. Next up, we have some incredible news for one of my favorite games of all time, that being Ghost of Tsushima. We're learning that it sold nearly 10 million copies within 2 years. So reading from PlayStation Lifestyle, it says Ghost of Tsushima sales have reached a whopping 9.73 million copies sold on the PS5 and PS4. This is what Sucker Punch Productions has announced. The studio is celebrating its game's 2-year anniversary this weekend and released some interesting player statistics on Twitter, including the number of in-game photos taken, number of Fox's pet, and more. So the official Sucker Punch Productions Twitter says this weekend marks 2 years since the release of Ghost of Tsushima. We are blown away by all of the support since then and so grateful for all of you. Thank you to everyone who has played and shared this journey. Here are some of the amazing stats since launch. And obviously the major statistic here is the sales of the game. I mean, it's just shy of 10 million. I have no doubt that it will cross that 10 million mark. And I just want to take this opportunity to once again talk about how amazing Ghost of Tsushima is. I think that these sales numbers are well earned and absolutely deserved. It is staggering, honestly, that a game like this, a new IP, is able to sell almost 10 million units within 2 years of release. I don't think many people truly understand and grasp just how successful this game actually is. And there's no doubt whatsoever that they are absolutely bringing a massive sequel to this game. And I can't wait to see it. So always happy to celebrate some major milestones like this. I think that this further proves that when a talented and competent development team comes together and they get the backing and support that is required to create such a massive game like this and achieve their ambitions, and they put quality first, these are the results, right? Nearly 10 million copies sold. So very happy to see that. It's even more impressive when you consider the fact that it's only been on PS5 and PS4. You have to imagine eventually it will come to PC, and that'll add to that number in a significant way. But we're going to move to the final topic here, which talks more about Final Fantasy 16. We have even more information to go over and talk about here. Reading from VGC, says Final Fantasy producer Naoki Yoshida has said that the reason Final Fantasy 16 doesn't feature turn-based combat is so that the game will appeal to a younger audience. Speaking in the latest issue of Famitsu, as translated by VGC, the developer said that the team had to reassess the audience Final Fantasy was appealing to. I'm from a generation that grew up with command and turn-based RPGs, Yoshida said. I think I understand how interesting and immersive it can be. On the other hand, for the past decade or so, I've seen quite a number of opinions saying I don't understand the attraction of selecting commands in video games. This opinion is only increasing, particularly with younger audiences who do not typically play RPGs. Yoshida went on to explain that he believes the evolution in console technology has pushed RPGs towards action-based mechanics rather than turn-based. For several console generations now, all character expression can be done in real time. Actions such as press the trigger and your character will shoot a gun, and press the button and your character will swing their sword can now be easily expressed without going through a command system. It's now common for gamers younger than me to love such games. As a result, it seems that it does not make sense to go through a command prompt such as battle to make a decision during a battle. This is not an argument of what is good or bad, but there is a difference based on the player's preferences and age. Furthermore, there is a big difference between a command system and a turn-based system, and these are often conflated, but are two different concepts. He added, RPGs originated with tabletop RPGs, and I think that gaming RPGs were invented by replacing the tabletop discussions with commands in video games. As I said, I believe I know the fun of command system RPGs, and I want to continue developing them, but I thought about the expected sales of Final Fantasy 16 and the impact that we have to deliver. At times, I said that it was okay if the development team would explore new options, and the systems would be only half finished, and as a result, it would be remade many times. It's the same feeling as not utilizing an open world. If you have a good idea, you should approach it, but if you feel differently and think it's better not to have a command system instead, I don't mind. From this, I think it's definitely possible that the next Final Fantasy may also utilize a command system again or be an open world game. However, at this point, if we were to develop it, Final Fantasy 16 will be like this. So there's a very in-depth explanation as to why they're choosing to forego the turn-based system combat or the command combat, and they're just making it real time. But on top of that, we also have an explanation as to why Final Fantasy 16 is not open world. Apparently, it would have taken 15 years to make. Again, from VGC. This is during the same interview with Famitsu, and it was translated. Naoki Yoshida explained that he felt other elements were more important to him in defining what made a Final Fantasy game, and that trying to make it open world on top of everything else would have been a step too far. When I played the first Final Fantasy, I thought this is a movie-like gaming experience. Yoshida explained the production, the dialogue, timing, the drama, the sound, they all combined to create the greatest gaming experience possible. Once a Chocobo or Moogle was included, I thought it was already a Final Fantasy experience. That game experience must be felt in Final Fantasy 16 as well. Additionally, it is necessary to understand the overall outline of the game design by taking into account the strengths of the team itself. When thinking about it, I thought I believe an open world would not fit what we are planning right now. Listing the main aims for the project, Yoshida said, I want the story of a hero who saves the world because this is Final Fantasy. I want a summon to go wild and destroy the map. I want to release this game as soon as possible. I cannot release this game in parts. When considering these 4 main points, I believe it is practically impossible to ask for everything. If we had a development period of about 15 years, we may have had the opportunity of challenging ourselves with an open world. And he smiles, saying, after all, it's almost impossible in terms of time and cost to create a global story within an open world. So I have to say, I really like what Yoshida is saying here. I think that this is proof that when you have enough experience developing games, you know how to properly approach it and not, become overly ambitious and bite off more than you can chew. And I think that this is actually really reassuring and good news because they have certain things that they want to prioritize. And he's just being honest by saying, if we tried to make it open world, it would have been too much. And I don't think anybody would want that, right? I don't think anybody would want to wait 15 years for a Final Fantasy game, no matter how good it would be. That would be absolutely insane. So there you go. Wanted to update you guys on Final Fantasy 16, but that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it informative. Again, if you did, leave it a like. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share the video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.